Bob Cusack, the editor-in-chief of The Hill, with us right now. You know, Bob, so many court cases, so little time. And one of the things I always think when stepping back from this is all of these court matters, when they've appeared, including indictments and the like, they've only lifted, his poll numbers, that is, Donald Trump's poll numbers. This is a different kind of a situation, but it is kind of akin to the E. Jean Carroll thing, even though it's substantially more expensive. It has not put a dent. That didn't put a dent in his popularity, hasn't put a dent in his poll numbers. I suspect this won't either. But there's got to be a sort of a nick effect. I don't know, you keep nicking away at him. What do you think?
No, you're right. I think that's everything you said is right, Neil, that this has not hurt him to this point. But we've been talking about a Republican primary that the former president is dominating and is likely going to win. But this drip, it's not going to be good. Let's see where his poll numbers are, come spring or early summer. I think going after prosecutors works, certainly in a primary, but he's going to have to shift to general election mode and convince independents. And I think this is not a great thing for Trump. And obviously Biden has his own issues, and independent voters are like, where do we go?
So let me ask you a little bit about the impact here. The former president is going to fight it to the nth degree. He's been posting on Truth Social, if I can get the latest on that, that this is unfair. Both the trial and this unprincipled decision have certainly diminished public confidence in the integrity of the legal system. But I'm also wondering what you think happens now with this, because then it gets into, he's got to put up all of this money. He's got to counter the claims that he made stuff up. He's been able to successfully do that with his base. He's been able to say that this is all politically driven, that Letitia James had this as a goal very early on when she was campaigning for this office. So he has a credible case to make on the political witch hunt here. But there's also then that vast independent voter majority out there, or plurality, I should say, that's going to say, there's got to be something there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this does coincide with Nikki Haley going after Trump, especially this year, really taking the gloves off and saying Donald Trump is followed by chaos. And obviously, you're going to hear that. You've already heard it from Democrats and President Biden. So I do think there's a real risk for the president here that obviously he's going to be appealing every decision. And polls show that if there's a recent poll, Harvard-Harris, showing, listen, if he's indicted on the January 6th case, actually, Biden would go ahead of him. On other counts, not so much. But certainly, I think in a general election, these legal problems for Trump are piling up, and they're not good for independents. Remember, Biden did win independents in 2020, but since then, independents have moved away from Biden. So both Trump and Biden have a problem with independent voters.
Bob, I think I misquoted something. I assume it was from Donald Trump. That was his legal team. This is from Donald Trump himself on Truth Social. The justice system in New York State and America as a whole, he goes on to say, is under assault by partisan, deluded, biased judges and prosecutors. Racist, corrupt AG, he's referring to the Attorney General, Letitia James, has been obsessed with getting Trump for years and used crooked New York State John Engeron to get an illegal, un-American judgment against me, my family, and my tremendous business. I helped New York City during its worst of times, and now, while it is overrun by the violent Biden migrant crime, the radicals are doing all they can to kick me out. Goes on to say, I think it's important I read the whole thing so you don't have to worry whether we took things out of frame here. This decision is a complete and total sham. There were no victims, no damages, no complaints, only satisfied banks and insurance companies, which made a ton of money. Great financial statements that didn't even include the most valuable asset, the Trump brand, ironclad disclaimers, buyer beware, and do you own due diligence, or your own due diligence, and amazing properties all over the world. All the other side was a ridiculous $18 million valuation of magnificent Mar-a-Lago and an unconstitutional gag order, a consumer fraud statute never before used for this purpose, no jury allowed, and a refusal to send this disgusting charade to the commercial division where it would have been put to a deserving end. So I'm going to put that down as a little stronger than a maybe on that decision. What did you make of it?
Yeah, another subtle statement from the former president. Listen, when you're dealing with taking Trump's money away, obviously he's fired up over this. He's fired up from a financial perspective because he's paying an enormous amount in legal fees, and some of that is obviously picked up by campaign funds. But on actually paying what he's going to have to pay, he can't do that. So overall, yeah, this is something we're going to hear this rhetoric from Trump. He's fired up. I don't think Biden should be spiking the ball too much. He's got his own issues. Obviously, he had the special counsel report. So I don't think spiking the football is going to help him. But I do think that Trump really just lashing out at prosecutors, I don't think that's a winning strategy going to the general election, at least as much as he does it.
And does this go further than Donald Trump? The reason I ask is the Justice Department has charged that this former FBI informant who claimed that Republicans used to bolster these allegations of a bribery scheme, including Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, that individual is charged on 2 counts of making false statements to federal authorities, and that, furthermore, Alexander Smirnov falsely claimed that during 2 business meetings in 2015 and 2016, executives associated with Burisma admitted to him that they hired Hunter Biden to protect us through his dad from all kinds of problems. If that turns out to be a lie, as that does seem to be the reading here, for Chairman Comer looking into this, that's a big nothing burger now. Your star witness has sort of imploded on you. Now what?
Yeah, the pressure is definitely on Comer, and the new speaker, Mike Johnson, has had a rough stretch as well. Listen, I mean, with the special election victory in New York, Neil, all it takes is 3 Republicans to say, no, I don't see the evidence to impeach Biden, and they don't have the votes if everyone shows up. So that's a problem for Johnson and Comer. Comer has said he's got other evidence, but he's going to have to present it real soon. They've got a math problem to impeach Biden. They had a math problem to impeach Mayorkas and needed a do-over, which was embarrassing. Let's see if they get the votes after this news now has broken this week.
Now, it could still be early, but, Republicans do have a history of spiking the ball a bit prematurely and botching, for example, what should have been a red wave a couple of years back didn't materialize. So they seem to be stumbling and bubbling their way through this, certainly on legislative matters where they're coming up short again and again. And now on some of these cases that they thought they had locked down solid, and the Hunter Biden and other investigation might continue, might find other avenues. It's too soon to say. But they're in a world of political hurt right now, aren't they?
They are. But the one thing that Republicans, and it's a big thing, have going for them is the Senate map. So many Democrats are defending their seats, and Republican incumbents are all but basically safe. So they're going to lose the West Virginia seat, Democrats, because Manchin is not running now for president or the Senate. So I think Senate Republicans, who kind of blew it in the last cycle, have things going their way. And honestly, the party that has the best shot to win all 3, the White House, the House, and the Senate, are Republicans because of that Senate advantage. But Democrats could obviously easily win the White House and take back the House. And maybe they hold the Senate, but the odds are with Republicans right now.
All right, Bob, thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.